What's up, guys? In this video I'm going to show you how to make a drift knuckle for your Mustang. Basically what we're doing is we're moving where your tie rod mounts, we're moving it further in by 3/4 of an inch. But in this video I'm going to show you the welding theory behind it, what I do exactly. You don't want these to break. What this will do is it just gives you more steering angle for drifting and stuff like that. If you aren't comfortable doing this, or you don't have the means to do it, you can send me a pair of knuckles and I'll cut them for you and send them back to you. Just look me up on Instagram at PopPopsGarage. Okay, now we're over here on the cut table, and what you'll see is there's this bracket right here. We're gonna have to cut that out of the way first. So that's the first thing I do. I go in here and cut it this way, and then I try to cut down at an angle like this. You're not gonna get it perfect, and I highly recommend getting some new flap discs like this. These are going to be huge. I think these ones are 36 grit. You can use 40 or 80 or whatever, it just takes longer. But we're gonna go ahead and get that knuckle cut out of there now. Alright, so this is what you're left with right there. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take my new flap disc here and grind all that stuff out of there, and then I'm also going to clean up all the metal around it. That when I mark it to cut it, I'll be able to see it clearly. I get rid of these bumps, I get rid of all that stuff. I think that's it. Just like make sure, you know, that overhang isn't on there and stuff like that. Just clean everything up. So now you can see that we have it all cleaned up. Now what we're going to do is mark it at 3/4 of an inch. What you have to pay attention to is you don't want to cut it like right on the edge of this, because you're going to have to bevel it. You'll see that next. So you want to hold it off a little bit, but then you don't want to weld it too far up in here where it's like all the way up here. So you gotta try to find an easy medium. I'll mark it now and then show you guys. Alright, so there's my marks, 3/4 of an inch away, and that should leave me plenty of room to still be able to bevel all this and plenty of room to bevel that. So go ahead and cut that out. Alright, now this is what you're left with. You have your 3/4 inch piece that you cut out, and you have this and this. What we're going to do is we're going to weld this to this, but first we need to bevel it so that way we can get a good penetration on the weld. So normally what I do is I just throw it in a vise over here, and then I'll set it up in there like that and bevel it. So as you can see, we have everything beveled, and this is what you want to do, because what we're going to do is we're going to end up welding this to here, but you want to leave like some sort of gap to be able to fill. That way your weld penetrates all the way down in the metal. It's not just laying on top of it. Because if you're just laying on top, you're going to have this much of a gap on the inside. So let's get over to the welding bench. Okay, so now we have our pieces here, and we're ready to weld. Something to note is that the tie rod end hole is tapered, so because your tie rod ends are like cone shaped, I guess. So the smaller portion goes to the top and the bigger portion goes to the bottom. The other thing to keep in mind when you're doing this is if you just set it on the table like this and just like let it lean, it's gonna be crooked. So you kind of gotta like hold it up, tack it, bend it a little bit. Like you gotta sit there and play with it for a little bit to make sure that everything is straight. Another thing is I use stainless steel filler wire for this. Now, everybody's gonna freak out. Why are you using stainless steel? Why don't you just use mild steel? Why don't you use nickel? Blah, 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 blah. So nickel is used for cast iron. It's really good because nickel stretches. I use stainless because it's a mix of mild steel, which is this, and stainless steel, and nickel. So it's basically like a mild rod with nickel in it. Some YouTube welders out there will correct me, I'm sure that's wrong, but I've had a lot of success with that. I know a lot of people that use nickel, and I know a lot of people that use mild. I personally think that stainless steel is the strongest. I've done a lot of these, and a few of them have hit the wall and never had any issues. So I'm going to keep using stainless on all my cast stuff. The other thing is everybody says you got to dip it in sand and let it cool off slow. Yes and no. Also preheating, it wouldn't hurt. I don't preheat. The way I tack weld it and stuff like that, I feel like it heats the metal up enough, because I don't just like start welding on it. I like tack it, then work my way around and stuff like that, and it kind of builds heat up. Just look into cast welding. I just do what I do and it works for me. So what I'm doing is I just tack it, and then I'm gonna sit here and look at it and make sure it looks pretty straight. It's facing downhill a little bit. Now with cast, if I was just try to bend this, it's just gonna snap off because cast is real brittle. I haven't done any filler yet. So what I'm gonna do is heat it up and bend it. That might have been too much. Got my glove. Gotta go a little bit more. Just a little bit more. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just lining it up off of this, because this stays straight up and down. So I'm holding it and looking at it this way, and holding it and looking at it this way, making sure that it's pretty level. That looks good. That looks good. All right, so now I have it tacked where it's gonna live. So now what I do is I work my way around it with just like heating the metal up and fusion welding it. Because it's gonna move around a lot. Like a lot. So I just do this. If you were just to start welding one side, it's gonna pull it really hard. So I just go all the way around like this. And then I start adding filler. Triple check it one more time before we start adding filler, because after we add in filler, that's where it lives. That's good. That's good. Cool. You can sit here and like measure this out and put a level on it and do all that, but at the end of the day, it doesn't super matter because the tie rod end has like, it's a pivot, so it can still move around. So it's not a super huge thing to me to do that. But we can go ahead and start welding now. Okay, so now we have our root passes down. What I'm gonna do now is fill it till it's up to the top, and then I like walk the cup over everything, that way to make sure it's super like together. So go from this side to this side to that side to that side, and just walk it around like that all the way around it. And there you go. All welded up. Just gotta let it cool off now, and then do the other one. And 3/4 of an inch may not look like a drastic difference after they're side by side, but it makes a huge difference when it comes to steering angle. You might be able to get a little bit further in, but I'm unsure on if the tie rod ends will hit and stuff like that. If you guys enjoy videos like this, please let me know. It helps me out a ton to decide what to make, what not to make, what to spend time on, what not to spend time on. Let me know down in the comments below. I appreciate y'all. I'll see you later.